Hello?
Hello, is this Corey?
This is.
Hi, Corey. It's Burton Cummings calling.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Well, it's still morning for me.
Hey, well, good morning. Thank you for taking time to chat with me this afternoon.
Oh, not a problem at all.
I'm so excited. You're going to be here next weekend for our Bridgefest celebration. And you've been to Prince Edward Island a bunch of times through your career, for sure, right?
Oh, I've been there many, many times. I love the people. The people, you see, the thing is, you guys aren't spoiled yet down there. There's not a million acts coming in every day, so it's a little more remote, you know. So when we come down there, it's always very special. People they really love the entertainers, you know.
We do, and we love good music, and you've been making incredible music for your entire career. And I want to go right back to when you first started getting involved in music as a youngster. Piano, guitar, flute. What did you start playing with first?
Well, my mom started me on piano lessons when I was about 5 or 6, and I studied the Royal Conservatory of Canada for about 10 years. I never did get my degree because I started playing in a band when I was 13 or 14, so I never finished my piano degree, but it taught me the mathematics of music, you know, and that enabled me to pick up other instruments like a flute or guitar or saxophone. But I still think piano is the best basis for music, you know. And listen, Corey, it's not a mistake that all the great legendary classical music was written on piano.
Yeah.
It's not a mistake.
We have a 5-year-old boy who's very musical, and we've been talking about piano lessons, so this is great encouragement, and you're exactly right. It does have an incredible basis for every other instrument.
Yeah, and it will teach you the mathematics, you know, the 1 through 8. Basically, once you understand the mathematics of music, it's much easier to pick up other instruments. And, of course, at Randy Bachman's nudging and pushing, I learned to play enough guitar, just to play a little bit of guitar on stage, because visually it always looks good if I switch over to guitar. But piano is the main instrument, and it enabled me to... that's what I think led me into being a songwriter, was the piano. You know, had I taken sax or horn or trumpet or something, I might not have been a songwriter, but piano's a great basis for all the instruments and for all of music.
I want to talk about songwriting. Were you interested in poetry from that young age as well?
Yes, sir. I was writing poetry in grade 3 and grade 4 already, wow. And that's one of the reasons I have a new poetry book out now. I have a huge following on Facebook, and they've been aware of this for years, but it finally became a reality a couple months ago, and it's selling very well. We sell the poetry book at the live shows or on the internet, and I've had incredible praise for the for the poetry, just as much as the music. I'm very proud of it. You know, I wish my mom had just lived a little bit longer. I lost her about 3-4 years ago, but she read most of the poems anyway. She knew I was working on it.
Your mom, a great inspiration. Would you say that she influenced you the most through your career path in life?
Definitely, because she never discouraged the music. You know, when other guys were getting into bands, I think their parents were a little worried about what a wild life that would be and how crazy things would be. My mother never discouraged the music. If anything, she encouraged it because she had 78s. A lot of your listeners might not know what 78s are, but they were the old brittle shellac records we had way back before 45s came along. If you dropped one on the floor, it would be in a million pieces in one drop.
That's it.
My mom had 78s, and we had an old gramophone machine that you used to have to crank it up, and you used to have to change the needle every couple of weeks because the needles would wear down. I mean, this all sounds so ancient now and archaic, but a tiny little kid that hadn't gone to kindergarten yet, those records were quite an escape. You know, it was magic for me. And don't forget, Corey, we didn't have television yet.
Yeah.
So it was more of a fantasy than ever it would be nowadays, because kids are raised with TV now. But I'm the last I guess I'm the last generation that can actually remember life before television.
Man, I when I started in radio, we had 45s, and then we progressed from there to digital, and now a couple of clicks on the computer, and you can have the songs. So the process for recording obviously has evolved right from the start of your career as well.
Well, it's a different industry completely now. People aren't selling millions of records anymore because Napster let that genie out of the bottle a few years back. But I remember at one time, we might have been selling 100,000 albums a day. Yeah. Every few days, another 100,000 albums. That just doesn't happen anymore.
What was it like when your career just first started to launch, and you're like, "Holy smokes, I better put the seatbelt on"?
Well, a great story, and I've told this story before, but one of the great moments for me, we were going to New York City to do some promotion and some more recording. These Eyes had already broken wide open. That was our first big record, These Eyes. And I'm sitting in a limo with Randy Bachman, and we're going across the Tri-State Bridge, the bridge that leads you into the big skyscrapers. And we're looking out the front window at the Empire State Building, and the radio is on. And the disc jockey plays These Eyes. And at the end of the record, Randy and I are nudging each other in the ribs with our elbows, and thinking how great this is. And meanwhile, I had just turned 21, so I'm still pretty young at this point. And at the end of the record, and we're looking at the skyscrapers and the Empire State Building, and the guy comes on in a big booming radio voice says, "Hey, that's that great record from Canada by that group, the Guess Who, These Eyes, what a great record." So the moment I will never forget, because, just being a kid from the north end of Winnipeg, being a prairie boy, and suddenly you're looking at the Empire State Building and they're playing your record. It was a lot to take in at 21 years old.
That would forever be not only a great memory, but something that you'll never forget. And you've obviously been able to relive moments like that at different stages through the career, right?
Oh, absolutely. People ask me a lot of times, what's the most magical memory you have, or what's one of the highlight memories you have? And I always tell them the Seattle Pop Festival. In May of 1969, we were lucky enough, we got to play all 3 days. And at that time in my life, I was 21, this was 1969, it was the biggest crowd I'd ever played for. It was about 70,000 people. And we played for all 3 days, and we played with the Byrds and Bo Diddley and Chuck Berry and Ike and Tina Turner and Frank Zappa and Alice Cooper, the Mothers and the Doors and Led Zeppelin and the Flying Burrito Brothers and the Youngbloods and Vanilla Fudge. And I'm telling you, man, it went on for 3 days. Nothing but huge acts for 3 days. It was, I was just like a little girl meeting One Direction or NSYNC, I was walking around with my mouth open. I couldn't believe it. I
was going to ask if there's been someone that you haven't had a chance to work with that you would absolutely, if you got the call right now, you'd hang up on me and talk to them.
Well, I've worked with a lot of people. Actually, I was lucky enough to get the phone call in about 15 years ago. I toured with one of the Ringo Starr All-Star bands.
Man.
It was one of the best experiences of my life. What a band we had. Of all the Ringo All-Star bands, I think ours was the best. We had Todd Rundgren, Joe Walsh, Timothy Schmidt from the Eagles, Dave Edmunds, Nils Lofgren, Ringo and his son Zach, both on drums, myself on keyboards. We had 8 lead singers, 4 guitar players. There was nothing we couldn't do. It was a tremendous band.
Man. So awesome. I love hearing your stories, and we quickly talked about poetry and the book that's out now. Is there a particular poem or author that inspires you as you do poetry and songwriting?
Well, you see, the thing is with the internet now, the click of a few keys, and I can read all the great poems. I've always liked Rudyard Kipling very, very much. I love Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah. Very dark, but brilliantly written. And I can go and read Keats and Shelley and all the Shakespeare, anything that I want. I'm a pretty good typist, Corey. I can type about 150 words a minute.
Man.
So I have no problem getting around the internet. I do a lot of Googling and reading at night. Way more reading and studying, believe it or not, than I ever did in school.
Is that right?
But I think the reason is in school I was being told to do it all the time. And now I'm under my own volition just to go and read and learn about whatever I like. So I think that's what I'm learning more now than I ever did in school. It sounds crazy, but it's true.
I wanted to ask about, because I follow you on Facebook and Twitter and all the social...
Oh, thank you very much. I have a great following on Facebook. I love Facebook.
You do, and you did post just a couple days ago about insomnia once again. This is actually you on Facebook, right? This isn't like some handler doing
Absolutely.
it.
And here's a little hint, Corey. Some people might not know about this. When you go on Facebook, if you see the small blue circle with the white check mark inside it, you got to look for it because it's small. If you see beside anybody's name, especially somebody kind of famous or well-known, you'll see a small blue circle with a tiny white check mark inside it. That means that you have been authenticated by Facebook, that it actually is that person.
It is the real deal. You are the real deal.
Absolutely. And you know, I told everybody from day one, I've been online pretty regularly for almost 10 years. About 2008, I started going on MySpace and developed quite a bunch of friends and following. And I said right from day one, I'm never going to hire interns to type for me.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather not be online than have somebody else telling people what I think. It's me for sure. When I'm on there, for sure.
Awesome. 50 albums, 47 singles, 2 stars on Canada's Walk of Fame.
Yes, sir, 2. One with the Guess Who and one by myself.
Oh, man.
There's only one other person that's done that, my old partner, Randy Bachman.
Unbelievable. SoCan Awards. First time I saw you perform was during Canadian Music Week in Toronto a good number of years ago now. And you rocked it out, and you still have it. It's incredible that I've had a chance to chat with you, and so excited for the show next weekend here on Prince Edward Island. Do you have a favorite song?
Are you coming to the show, Corey?
Absolutely.
Well, then you got to come backstage, and we'll get a picture together, and I'll put it up on my Facebook page.
It's a date.
Absolutely.
Let's...
Do I have a favorite song?
Yeah.
Well, we end the show with one of my favorite songs, "No Time" from the Guess Who days.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite songs on stage. We sound pretty close to the records. I must admit, Corey. It's always been a stickler for me to show up and sound like the records. So what they're going to hear next week is a lot of the songs they're familiar with. No Sugar and New Mother Nature and Share the Land and Hand Me Down World and on and Break It to Them Gently and I'm Scared. The songs that have been on the radio, that's what we concentrate on.
Yeah.
I like doing the songs, the famous songs. Why wouldn't I? You know, it's hard enough to get a hit record. There's nothing wrong with singing them for the rest of your life. That's the way I put it.
I was going to ask you about that because I've talked to artists before and they're like, oh, I'm going to do a lot of my new stuff because people, I think, would like my new stuff. And as a fan, you get there and you're like, if you miss a song that you absolutely wanted to hear, you're like, wow, they did not sing that song. So
you know what? The people in PEI will not have a problem with that. They're going to hear pretty well everything they came to hear.
Awesome. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much. Looking forward to meeting you next week and enjoying your music once again from the stage. Oh, Burton Cummings, this has been a true honor to have so much time with you on the phone.
Thank you very much, Corey. I'll look forward to meeting you, and I'll look forward to seeing everybody down east.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, my man. Take care. Be well.
You too. And safe travels on your way here.